And the shale producers are really coming from the advanced industrialized countries.
America specifically.
Yes, America specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So, now remember, these advanced industrialized countries, many of them do not produce oil,
Right, they're
except
importers.
America.
Mm-hmm.
But many of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
So they depend really on, now they have shale. They are actually hoping to drive oil producers out of the market.
Stay on that point for a moment, as my mother would say. Stick a pin for a second. Could you differentiate for our listeners, the uninitiated, the difference between shale energy and oil?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the oil is really the oil producers are using fossil fuels.
Yes.
And so we in Trinidad and Tobago, we are blessed with oil. So we are using fossil fuels to produce this oil. The shale producers, they are not using fossil fuels. Instead, they are able to extract shale from a rock.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
From the rock. Now, I do not know the technology too well, right? But because they're actually extracting the oil from the rock, they are making fossil fuels irrelevant because they could produce it from the rock. The problem for them, however, is that for them it's just an investment. Whereas countries who produce oil, the whole economy depends on this oil.
That's right.
And so it's not just an investment; it's a means to an end for these fossil fuel producers.
It's really survival is what we're talking about. Our guest in History Just Student is Dr.
Right.
Anthony Birchwood. He's a former research fellow at the Caribbean Center for Money and Finance. He's also a lecturer at the University Department of Economics. The battle between the shale producers and the fossil fuel producers is one that may go on for a very long time. A number of companies in the United States are in fact closing because they find it uneconomical to continue with the shale production. Who, from what you are seeing thus far, does this look as though it will have an early resolution, or this is going to be a protracted battle?
Well, let me answer in short and say protracted. But let me just finish this point I was making. So here it is. The shale producers are there, and for them it's just an investment.
Mm-hmm.
So they can easily close up shop and come back when the price is high enough and come and go and produce shale again.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening? The oil prices, as you know, it has just risen to around $39 a barrel, and around 40 or $41 a barrel. So immediately, shale producers started to say that they want to come back now and produce shale again.
Yes.
Because what had happened before was that in America, a lot of the shale plants closed down.
Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm.
Because the oil prices were so low.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, they will be very happy if the oil prices could rise back again, and they want to continue their production again.
They get investment to go and do more exploration.
Right. So for that reason, this battle is likely to continue for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because shale producers are always standing on the background looking to get back in the market.
So against that backdrop, I go back to the initial question, which is, you anticipate it will be sitting around what figure? You answered the question as to where budgets should be pegged, but what sort of dollar figure you think we are looking at a median 2 years inside?
Very difficult to answer.
Yeah,
Some people think that 45. No, sorry.
That's
okay,
optimistic.
The optimism is that it could rise to $80 a barrel. But the shale producers are waiting. So at $45 a barrel, they're fancying their chances. They're licking their lips. And because of that, I think we have a tremendous fight going on. I don't know how long this fight will go on for, but I think we have a tremendous fight that is going on right now. And unfortunately, we're sitting in the middle of the battle.
Yes.
We do have a decisive say in it because we produce less than 0.2%, 0.1%.
We'll wait.
Less than 0.1% of the world oil supply.
We await the decisions of folks like Venezuela getting together with Saudi Arabia, having conversation with Russia and all of the Middle East, and we just lay back and we see what happens there, and then we move forward.
That's right.
It is that sort of situation where you're not exactly in charge of that, hence the reason for diversification. Talking about diversification, that's the area I want to go into now that we have dealt with the IMF report. You know, we have to find. Often we hear folks talking about diversification. It's thrown about all the time. But diversification, where primarily are you? Did identify a short while ago, investment into small businesses and so on. But
yes,
is that the direction for diversification you see?
I think so. You see, what happened, right? We had oil. That was a big industry. That led the whole country. Mm-hmm. Then, oil production falling. We had diversification within the energy sector. So the Point Lisa estates, even the iron and steel. Right. All of this was very diversification within the energy sector. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I did hear this government, while they were in opposition, they spoke about plywood production and put it in rural areas like Point Fortin and other places. Mm-hmm. And I think things along those lines can help. It wouldn't be the big bonanza industry like how we have oil, but at least these things can add to the employment in the country.
But of course, the cents make the dollars, as it were. You mentioned steel for a moment ago. I want to take it quickly into that area of ArcelorMittal in the context of folks are saying that we should purchase that $1 plus $1.3 billion. I like when they say $1 because it's $1 plus $1.3 billion, yes.
And Samakal came out of that era when we had our iron and steel industry.
Those ISCOT, yes. Mm-hmm.
ISCOT. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the younger generation would not have known of ISCOT, but the rest of us will know of ISCOT.
I've just been reading your notes. Go ahead, please.
Okay, but in any case, right?
Yes.
ISCOT was costing us high debt every day. Mm-hmm. Something like $3 million every day to maintain ISCOT.
That is important that be underscored because those who walk into the area of saying, purchase this company, must remember when tariffs were put on by the United States, it was costing us $3 million daily, you say, up to that, right?
Of course. and you see what happened too is that because we had to pay such a high debt to ISCOT, to maintain ISCOT, we had another problem that the United States was saying that if we are going to be supporting the steel industry by being a direct player in the market, then that will be unfair competition.
Yep.
Because what has happened here now is that we will be subsidizing our iron and steel industry and then trying to export it to them and to other countries.
And that is when they decided to drop the surcharge and to make it prohibitive for us to actually land and sell it there.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And that's where now you get, what's the company name? It's Macal.
Macal, yeah.
Not Macal.
ArcelorMittal.
Yeah,
yes.
I always forget the name. But that's where they came in now because we wanted to privatize it. And so they decided, yes, we will buy it. And so they bought it. Now, their buying of it symbolizes what they call South trade.
Explain.
That is developing countries actually investing in other developing countries. Mm-hmm. You see, at that point when Metal, yeah, at that point when they bought the iron and steel company, it was unknown for developing countries to get involved by buying plants in other developing countries. Mm-hmm. So when they did it, that was virgin territory. It's kind of like Clico, CL Financial in Trinidad. Mm-hmm. CL Financial, their franchise extended to the rest of the Caribbean. And therefore, we now had South trade coming from Clico, from CL Financial. Mm-hmm. So this was the same thing. Now, I was saying, going back to our point here about buying metal, Answer Metal, or whatever the name.
ArcelorMittal, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Buying it is not a simple decision like that because what will happen is that you're going to buy back the debt that they owe. then we don't know the condition of the plant that the plant is in.
But you're also buying back conditions that cause you to abandon involvement in the first place.
That's right. That's
Because
right.
you will be back to subsidizing it, and countries are going to say you're not landing this year because your government is a player in this.
That's right. And so buying it is not a simple decision like that. What we could do, after we do proper due diligence, is to see who best we can sell it to.
I know you're one of the people, being an economist, you just like to deal with the facts, but there is a conversation I've read where folks wonder if this is not a little game that we are experiencing on the public stage, where is a whole case of renegotiation of conditions, i.e. the cost of gas, electricity, and stuff like that, it being negotiated in the public domain, hence the bluff, as some people call it.
You know, there's this big thing, right? And talking about tourism countries now, like we have in the region, they have been given tremendous concessions to investors to come invest in hotel in my country. And when you invest in hotels in my country, my people will be happy because they will get employment, and everybody would be happy. Now, these same investors, just like Mattel, they are happy to walk as soon as they could walk if things can go too right. Meanwhile, they would have had all the cushions that you gave to them. So all the natural gas that was subsidized, they have it.
I think it's called, you could have my arm, my leg, and my child's future.
And also electricity. You remember they get that subsidized too. And electricity cost is very high.
Yes.
When it comes to iron and steel. So they get all of these things. When the market turn against them now, they just want to walk. They already make enough money.
You are an economist, and this has been raised a number of times. When these companies, these multinationals come in to your country to put some conditions, i.e. the severance benefits, retrenchment severance benefits, make it at this level and that level. But the realists in the business, they say, listen, if you get them in here, they're bringing in additional investors. One, you need them here. Two, if you put these, as they deem it, prohibitive conditions, they will not come here. So sometimes we do, in fact, have to sell our souls.
You see, I agree with you, but there's something else too. You see...
don't agree with me. I was not advocating that. I was merely echoing.
No, but the point you made, I agree with the point. But there's something else to do too. They play one off against the other.
Yes.
So you in Tobago want to do tourism? Well, we want concessions better than what they gave you in Grenada. So they play one against the other.
At the end of the day, please go ahead.
Yeah, therefore they get the best conditions they could get to set up their industry in your country.
So at least it could be a possibility that we could be witnessing a chess game here. Well,
what happened, right? This is where the rule of CARICOM comes in. And there indeed was some kind of discussion of this in CARICOM, where as a CARICOM territory, or CARICOM territories, we should form an agreement between ourselves as to what is the minimum standards we want to accept for these foreign companies that wants to come in. Now, the thing is, it's just in the discussion stage, so I don't think any proper decision was made on that. But the truth is, I think we need to get together as a CARICOM body to decide on what is the minimum restrictions it will put in place for when these companies want to come in, because they will play off one against the other.
And that is why it's so important that the citizenry understand that governance also includes, very importantly, almost as important as anything else, dealing, having agreements, having conversation, having cooperation with your neighbors, particularly for developing countries, because at a time like this, if you have neglected them for the past number of years, now you have a crisis like this, it's going to be harder for you to come to an agreement. I mean, at the end of the day, that is what we're saying, isn't it?